This morning we are in the Second Kings, chapter 25. We're going to be reading some excerpts of verses there, not the whole chapter, but most of the chapter. We're going to start in verse 1, which says, this is 2 Kings 25, starting in verse 1. And in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, on the 10th day of the month, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon uh, came with all his army against Jerusalem and laid siege to it. They built siege works against it all around. So the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. On the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine became so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. Then a breach was made in the city wall. The king with all the soldiers fled by night by the way of the gate between the two walls, by the king's garden, though the Chaldeans were all around the city. They went in the direction of the Arabah, but the army of the Chaldeans pursued the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. All his army was scattered, deserting him. Then they captured the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon at Riblah, who passed sentence on him. They slaughtered the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, then put out the eyes of Zedekiah. They bound him in fetters and took him to Babylon. In the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which was the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the bodyguard, a servant of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. He burned the house of the Lord, the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every great house he burned down. All the army of the Chaldeans who were with the captain of the guard broke down the walls around Jerusalem. Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried into exile the rest of the people who were left in the city and the deserters who had defected to the king of Babylon, all the rest of the population. Verse 13. The bronze pillars that were in the house of the Lord, as well as the stands, and the bronze sea that were in the house of the Lord, the Chaldeans broke in pieces and carried the bronze to Babylon. They took away the pots. The shovels, the snuffers, the dishes for incense, and all the bronze vessels used in the temple service, as well as the fire pans and the basins. What was made of gold, the captain of the guard took away for the gold, and what was made of silver, for the silver. And now jumping down to verse 18. The captain of the guard took the chief priest Sariah, the second priest Zephaniah, and the 3 guardians of the threshold. From the city he took an officer who had been in command of the soldiers, and 5 men of the king's council who were found in the city, the secretary who was the commander of the army who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who were found in the city. Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took them and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. The king of Babylon struck them down and put them to death at Riblah in the land of Hamath. So Judah went into exile out of the land. Now, the events recounted here in this final chapter of 2 Kings occurred in 587 to 586 BCE. And what is called Babylon and the Chaldeans is what historians call the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Babylon was ancient and had been the center of several very early empires of the Middle East. The first, that of the Hammurabi, existed around 1700 BCE. Now, a major problem for a casual reader of Middle Eastern history is that there were so many ethnic linguistic groups, and they weren't static, but would often group together. And if they became dominant in the region, the empire might be called by their capital city rather than the name of their tribe or nation. And this is the case with the Babylon which sacked Jerusalem. The Chaldeans had become the dominant group in Babylonia in coalition with a lot of other tribes. Moreover, their empire was practically coextensive with the Assyrian Empire that had sacked Samaria and destroyed the northern kingdom of Israel. So that is why at this period we have the same empire attacking the Hebrews, but ruled by a different royal family, living in a different capital city, and called Babylon rather than Assyria. And also why this empire is alternatively called the Chaldeans, the name of the tribe whose king, Nebuchadnezzar, ruled over it all. Chaldea was actually a tiny nation, but a land that is famous in the Old Testament for one reason. Remember when Abraham, the first patriarch of the Hebrews, left home and traveled to Canaan? Genesis 11, verse 31 says, Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his grandson, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth together from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. Nebuchadnezzar was a hard and bloodthirsty king. He destroyed the temple and looted it, melting down all of the finely crafted metalwork for bullion. He tore down the city walls, he burned the houses, and he murdered most of the royal family and both military and religious leaders. He also transported the Jews of Judah to Babylon. But he was not perhaps as bad as his Assyrian predecessors. The Jews became a separate slave class in Babylon, but retained their identity. They were even treated with some degree of decency. Plus, the Chaldeans won't be in charge for long. In about 60 years, the empire game will be upped a full magnitude by Cyrus the Great of the Persians and the Medes, who will conquer the Babylonian Empire and Egypt and the entire area between Greece and the Indus River. Please pray with me. Free, O Lord, the souls of your servants from all restlessness and worry. Grant us the peace and strength that come from you alone. Protect us from confusion and distress, so that, supported by your strength and anchored in the rock of your faithfulness, we may remain in you now and forever. Amen.